Hey everyone, Shaedow here, and welcome to another Marvel Contest of Champions video. So this is my first run through the Infinity Dungeons. I went through with an alliance mate, and you saw when we started I was in the dungeon lobby. And I went to the invite screen, I located him here in this list. This list is made up of both my alliance mates as well as my friends list. And I selected him out of that, and as you can see here, it is now waiting for him to join. I sped things up a little bit because he actually sent me an invite at the same time, and you could see the little icon off to the left. That was him inviting me, I was inviting him. We were both waiting in different lobbies, waiting for the other one. He eventually quit out of his and accepted the invitation and joined my lobby. So we decided to start with 4 stars, and from what I have experienced, that is really good enough. If you want more of a challenge, you can go with your 5 stars and do room 6, which is going to be harder, but it might be a little bit more fun for you. But if your goal is just to hit all of the milestones, then you can do it with 3 stars, 4 stars, or 5 stars. The only difference is how long it takes. Alright, so you saw me select my team, and you'll notice that everyone on my team has some sort of healing. This was my first run through this thing, and I wanted to make sure that I could last. I didn't know how long, so I chose folks that I knew were good and could heal. We decided to go with Dungeon 5 rather than Dungeon 6, and that's also why we went with 4 stars to begin with. And I must say it was fun. Now, one thing that we did experience, both of us, was lag. It was very laggy in this dungeon here. Alright, so you can see what the dungeon looks like. There is an in-game chat, and it sucks. I don't like it. We ended up using Line. That's where we're used to communicating anyway. So we were sending messages back and forth in Line. Now, we only have 12 minutes to do each room. So you want to come up with some sort of a strategy to speed things up. Now, one of the things that we did, and we found out that it works very well, is that we each chose a particular side. Okay, so either I went left, he went right, and we maintained the same side throughout the entire run. That way we don't have to ask, oh, do you want to go to the left or do you want to go to the right? Now, there were some exceptions that you will see. If we looked up at the mini boss and there was a mini boss that he liked and he wanted to fight, then he would mention that and we would switch. Now, he liked Angela, so usually when there was an Angela, once I learned this, didn't know it in the beginning of course, but for the later rooms, when there was an Angela mini boss, he liked fighting that boss. And when there was a Thanos boss, mini boss, I liked to fight that one. So we kind of got into this rhythm. Now, whichever side you take, to speed things up, you want to look at the buffs opposite to you, because those are the ones that are feeding your mini. Okay, so if you went to the left, you want to look at nodes 3 and 4 and see what boosts they have, and your partner wants to look at 1 and 2. Now, we got to know each other fairly well, so for example, when he saw a stun immunity over on his side, he already knew that that was the one that I was going to select, so he was able to get a jump on that. Sometimes I would read his nodes and I would select for him one that I thought would be, pretty good. But for the most part, if you're fighting with somebody that you don't know, communication is key. But I do recommend, even if you don't know them, to talk about your strategy before you start. Obviously this is not possible if you're doing just the find option. I have not used that, but that's, from what I understand, a way to just select a random person, and when that happens, then you can't discuss it firsthand. But it's doable without communicating, but it's much more difficult. Now, another thing that I recommend is shortcuts. Now, again, I don't like the in-game chat, but it has a series of shortcuts, and what you can do, and we found ourselves doing this as well, even though we were using Line. What we would do after a little while is instead of asking what side, we already knew which side, and we would just put in a number for the node that we wanted our partner to take out. Okay, so if I was going to the right, I would just tell him 2, and he would know to take out 2. He would put in, 3 or 4, and I'd know to take out that node, and that cut down a lot of time. All right, so you can see that we finished this room, and you see where it says start a new room, also conclude a dungeon. You can conclude the dungeon if you want, and you'll get your points right then and there. I chose to start the next room, and it waits for him to respond the same way, and if he also wants to continue, then it goes into the next room. Okay, so as you can see, I sped up the fights. I sped up the fights for the next couple of rooms because it's pretty much the same thing. Now, the fights do get harder. Each room that you progress down gets a little bit more difficult. And of course, all the while your champions are getting hurt. If you don't have some sort of healing, then it's just a matter of time. And even with healing, it's still going to be a matter of time. The rooms are infinite. You're not going to finish them. All right, but the further that you can go, the more points that you make, and the faster you can reach all of your milestones. And to my knowledge, there's no real benefit to continuing past all of the milestones completed, except for fun and a little bit of gold. Okay, so at this point, you see my voodoo is down. So I communicated with him and said, let me take this boss so that I can try to regen up my voodoo. And if you did not know, when both of the minis are down, the boss will degen and you will regen on hit. So it's sort of like a life transfer for you, but without the degen. It's like the degen goes to them and the healing goes to you. So as you see here, not only is voodoo healing on his own, but he's healing on every hit that I do to the boss here. Okay, so I do get him up, to a fairly decent amount, and that's what you want to do. And that's why communication is so important. You don't have a lot of time to have these long conversations, so it's really important to let them know, hey, I'm hurt, let me take that boss. Now, they can also look and see what your health is like and make that decision as well. It just depends on who you get partnered up with, okay, and how well you guys know each other. Alright, so now we are going on to the next room. Now, both of us are hurt. I'm not as hurt as he is. I believe at this point he has had to revive. That revive that they sent in the mail, I believe he used it. I'm not sure if he used it in this room or the next room. But that's why we were spending so much time here. We were actually communicating online, and we were discussing whether we wanted to continue to the next room or cash in our chips, as they say, and just take the 1,172 points and start over again. But the champions that we are using right now would then be on cooldown, but we would still be able to earn more points. So I actually like these dungeons. These are kind of fun, but In any case, we decided to go ahead and continue to the next room. And I can tell you guys now that this was the final room that we did for this particular run. Okay, so you can see what champions I have here. I'm in good shape going into this room. He had a rough time. He had evades dropping on him. He had lag that he was dealing with. And I believe he lost a champion pretty early because of that lag. And it was rough, but we actually made it this far. Now coming up are, you know, my next couple of fights. I left them in because for some reason I struggled with these fights, and I'm not sure why. And after the fights, I do make it up to the boss, and you'll get to see me actually fight the boss. Okay, so right now we're discussing online, you know, which nodes as usual, and I'm thinking I hope he's able to clear his lane, and I don't think that I'm gonna have a problem clearing my lane. But these fights had me a little worried. So as you can see, this fight is against Karnak. Now Karnak is very easy to fight. I went in with my Wolverine. I hadn't used him, I don't think, so far. And I use him because, of course, his healing. Now, you may have noticed all throughout this dungeon is I have suicides on. I actually was kicking myself because I had meant to turn those suicides off and had forgotten. I was grinding arena, I was going for Mephisto, and I was also going for the 2,000 5-star shards. So I turned on my suicides to make that much easier on me. And when these came out, I completely forgot and went in. Alright, so this one, that one wasn't too bad. I was able to get through that one. I did experience a little bit of lag, but not enough to really cause me any real problems. And because Wolverine is Wolverine, as you can see, his health is still up there, so I'm still in good shape at this point. Alright, so now I'm watching to see if he's going to be able to take out this guy. And as you can see, the health on that Spider-Man lets you know that he did go in there once before, and I do believe this is the point where he had revived one of his guys and went back in against Spidey. So now I'm thinking, boy, this is going to be interesting. I don't know at this point whether he's going to be able to take out Angela or not. And I didn't look at his health before I went in here. So all I did was when I saw that he had gotten that guy down, I just went in. I think he used some health potions, whatever they had in the mail that they sent. Okay, now this fight here, I had a hard time with. He's not that bad to fight normally for me, especially with Wolverine, but a couple of times that Unstoppable caught me. Okay, trying to get him to throw his specials sometimes was a little bit challenging, but you'll see that I spent a lot of time just trying to push him back to the right, but trying to bait him, trying to get his specials, he ends up getting me in the corner, and I almost have a really bad day. So you can see right here, I'm already in the corner. I'm holding, of course, my special because I want to heal as much as possible, and you can see Wolverine healing like a champ, and I'm just going in, and things are going okay, but I am so nervous at this point because he can wreck me with just one of those L2s. And you can see I'm just like backed up against the wall. I was afraid to even try to evade anything. All I was doing was blocking. and hoping that he would regen up. Okay, so you can see his regen is going very nicely. But now watch what happens here. Boom! I just catch it in the face. No parry, no block. He just tags me right in the face. And that has happened before in previous fights. And it annoys me every single time it happens. Sometimes they get a full combo on me. Sometimes it's just 1 or 2 hits. You know, sort of like an insulting slap. Alright, so at this point, I'm just trying to regen up as much as possible. Okay, that's why I'm not throwing my L3. But then I said, you know what? Forget it. I'm just going to go ahead and do this, because otherwise I'm going to take a whole lot more block damage and he could easily wreck me. Okay, so he goes down and I'm still in fairly decent shape. Okay, but look at what I came out to. He is down, and he's telling me at this point that he does not have a revive or a health. All he had was what they gave in the email, that in-game mail. And I'm like, boy, I don't know, that degen is probably going to take me out. I don't think we really have a shot, but being who I am, I'm not going to go out without at least trying. So you guys are about to see me take on this boss with 1 node up. It is the first and only time that I have done that. And let me tell you, my suicides, which were literally slowly killing me throughout this entire thing, I was kind of happy to have them for this fight. And the reason is, with all that extra damage that I was doing, with this being degen and me not healing, it was a huge race against time. I was gonna go down, but I wanted to be able to do as much damage as I possibly could before I went down. So just look at this. So Voodoo is healing, so that kind of slows the degen down a little bit, and I'm just going in. I'm not trying to do any finesse. I'm not trying to bait out too much. I'm just trying to do as much damage to him as possible. Now, maybe I shouldn't have thrown that L1. I don't know, but I risked it because those poisons do stack up and do quite a bit of damage. Okay, so I'm just going in, and as you see, of course I went down, but I did a good amount of damage to him. And so at this point, I'm thinking, you know what? We may have a shot here. So I go in with Wolverine, and I'm like, please let me get some regen from Wolverine, you know, and then boom, I got that regen. So that also slows it down, and look at him. He is just ripping Karnak up. Okay, so I'm like, okay, we can do this, but not Wolverine. But he put in that work. And I'm like, okay, so we got this. And so I'm telling him, I'm like, we got it, we got it. You know, Scarlet Witch is almost full health. Ain't no way that I'm going down, even if she doesn't proc her regen. And boom, we were able to complete that dungeon. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this first look at Infinity Dungeons. This was my first run. We went on and did another run, got all the milestones. All right, so this is pretty fun. I like it. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. If you liked it, please consider smashing that like button. It really helps me out. If you have not subscribed already to my channel, please consider giving me a subscription. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought about this video. If you want to support the channel, look in my description below and you will find a link to my Patreon account, and you can become a patron of this channel. And you guys have a blessed day.